Is Britain's police force in a crisis? Spiraling crime, public distrust, and leadership failures are shaking the nation. In this video, Mike Graham and Peter Bleksley dive into what's gone wrong and expose the root causes. Plus, we'll break down the critical leadership principles of authority, accountability, and power that could turn it all around. Before we get into the details, if you love diving into political issues and enjoy hearing a principled take on them, then hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to join the conversation. It will help our channel reach a wider audience.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
The Labour government seems to think if they call something, then it is that. But it isn't actually, because we know very well it won't be. But this story in the front of the Times is interesting. Keir Starmer says supposedly he's putting pressure on police chiefs to release more information about offenders. Now, I find that quite staggeringly kind of surprising, because my belief is that last year Keir Starmer was putting pressure on them not to release information as opposed to release information. So what do you make of this about why would the police ever think it was a good idea to withhold ethnicity, nationality, and any other identifiable information about suspects in a rape case?
Anybody who's listening or watching who is over the age of 50, shall we say?
Yes.
I've got some very gloomy news for you, if you haven't already worked it out. The policing that you knew has gone forever.
Yeah.
Sadly, that policing that was all about public service, keeping the streets safe, all of that, gone. We now have a massively politicised police service where you have all these senior police officers with their numerous university degrees who are as woke and as liberal and consequently as pernicious and as dangerous as you can imagine, because they've gone so far from that blue-collar occupation that policing used to be into thinking they are now part of the illuminatory, the highly educated, intellectual...
Letters after their name, that sort of thing.
Exactly, right? And this is very relevant to what I'm about to talk about. The College of Policing. Okay, an absolutely lamentable think tank that really needs to be disbanded because therein lies the root of all this pernicious wokery and nonsense kind of thinking. Hands down guidelines about what information should be released about arrested persons. And essentially, it kind of absolves itself of some responsibility because it says it's at the discretion of chief constables. Well, chief constables, I can give you numerous examples of appalling chief constables who are really not friends of the people and they are just politicised creatures. And so Warwickshire, when these two Afghan men get charged with rape, of course there is now a court case that is going to follow. They decided within themselves to not release the details, background, ethnicity, and the such like of those two men. But of course, somebody knew, somebody had a whisper, because the story found its way to the Sun, and the Sun managed to discover who these people were and where they were from. And of course, that built the pressure, and eventually they've relented. But of course, they're now hiding behind there's a court case, so they'll say
we can't talk about it,
and that's fine. I get that, of course.
But at least we know that they were migrants. At least we know that they were staying locally in a hotel and all of that, right?
Exactly. And so people should know, because people, as you mentioned in your introduction, are protesting at numerous locations around the country about having these illegal migrants parachuted into local hotels, and consequently their communities are being blighted by unacceptable behaviour by some of these people committing crimes for which they're being arrested and charged, hence all the disquiet. It's almost like echoes of last year to a certain extent.
It is. And because now, the problem to an extent hasn't changed. It's the same problem, isn't it?
Well, it very much is in terms of these people committing crimes, blighting communities. The problem's the same in terms of ridiculously high numbers of people, undocumented, who we don't know the background to, we don't know their education, we don't know their intentions, we don't know what they're doing coming to this country apart from to get a home for free and get benefits and all the such
Bring in
like.
38,000 members of their family.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there is massive disquiet. So as the numbers increase in terms of people getting arrested and charged, the police are going to have to confront this issue and say, well, do we act honestly and transparently and tell the public who they are? Right. Will that cause disquiet? Or do we try and hide their identities and where they're from and the fact that they're migrants? But of course, that will leak out eventually.
Of course it will, and that will cause even more disquiet.
Correct.
We know, for example, I mean, the front page of, and this is related in a way, funnily enough, Iran asking the Taliban for a spy kill list. You know, we know how terrible that story ended up being when there was the government had to actually apply for a super injunction so that the public couldn't be told about the fact that tens of thousands of Afghan men were being imported into the country under cover of darkness in unmarked planes, literally in the middle of the night, right? Yep. And we also know, because this was a cabinet document from last October, that in all of the areas of where there was, you know, disorder last summer after the Southport killings, they were all areas which had been flooded with Afghan refugees.
Yep.
So people's, you know, tensions were at a very high point. And the same now, you know, an awful lot of people, I mean, according to Warwickshire Police, yesterday they said this: once someone is charged with an offence, we follow national guidance. This guidance does not include sharing ethnicity or immigration status. Now, yesterday they said that it was national policy not to do it. So it's either guidance or policy. Which is it?
Yeah, well, there you go. College of Policing and Police Services not being open and honest and transparent like they should be.
Right.
Hiding behind words. But you know what? This might sound like a bit of a quantum leap, but it's not, because it is so utterly, utterly relevant. This all cuts across one of the huge issues of the day that people are hugely concerned about, which is freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Because people want to speak freely about who it is that's been charged about a crime. Of course. They want to know, they want to speak about it. So many people out there that I speak to, including Tony, who approached me in the Boozer on Friday night, said he's a massive fan of you and the show, listens every Tuesday, gives him a buzz as he drives off to work. People are afraid about speaking openly and truthfully. They truly feel that free speech in this country is being suppressed, and it is a matter of huge public disquiet.
Absolutely right. Nigel Farage in The Sun today, pages 6 and 7, end at the cover-up. He's accused police of a cover-up over these two Afghan asylum seekers charged over the rape of a 12-year-old girl. He said it's absolutely disgraceful that their immigration status was not revealed to the public by Warwickshire Police, and he's now demanding that all forces release the name, address and immigration background of anyone charged with serious crimes. I mean, he's right, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. If we're going to be open and honest. And that's what the police should be. They should learn. But, you know, when they talk about setting up elite units to monitor social media and all that kind of stuff, they are so distanced and so unaware of what the public are thinking. I'm staggered.
It's amazing, isn't it, how much they don't know?
Yeah, because, of course, they're not in communities. They claim to it. No, they pander to minority communities.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Right.
They're not really... In policing, there are two communities you really need to bother yourself with. The first community is people who are victims of crime.
Yes.
Of course. The second community is people who commit crime.
Yeah.
They're who you should be engaging with. In other words, slapping the handcuffs on them and stick them in the back of the van.
Exactly right.
No criminal can survive without the backing of the authorities. Those were the powerful words of the late radio host Wilmot Perkins, and they ring true today. When crime festers, it's often because those with the authority and the power to act are either turning a blind eye or worse, complicit. Authority is a privilege and a responsibility. Leaders in the police force, government or communities are entrusted with the power to curb criminality. But when they fail to act, or worse, shield wrongdoers, crime doesn't just persist, it surges. This is where accountability comes in. True leaders uphold their duty and the power entrusted to them. If those in charge, whether police chiefs or politicians, cover up crimes or let offenders walk free, they betray that trust. Early prison releases or lenient policies send a clear message to criminals and the public alike. You're untouchable, and that's when the society pays the price. But here's the flip side. When leaders fail, the power shifts to the people. If the majority of the law-abiding citizens feel ignored or silenced, they reach a breaking point. Most people don't want to live in a world where the crime runs rampant and justice is a hollow promise. Every citizen holds a degree of authority, and when they wake up to this, they can demand accountability. The public can expose corruption, call out weak leadership, and even vote out those who abuse their power. Authority isn't owned by the leaders, it's loaned to them by the people. And when it's misused, the people have the right to take it back. Criminality festers in the shadows. When politicians or officials cover up crimes to protect their careers, they erode public trust. Once the truth comes out, and it always does, that betrayal costs them their authority, their power, and their position. So what can you do? Speak up, stay informed, and don't let failed leadership go unchecked. Together, we can demand a system that works for justice, not against it. Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going. If you have benefited in any way from this video, please subscribe, like, share, and be sure to leave us a comment.